episode of Bytes of Brilliance, Boardroom Insights. I'm your host, Carsten Kraus, CEO at CTO Times. Today, we're delving into the dynamic world of retail technology with a very special guest, Wesley Rhodes. Wesley has been at the forefront of tech innovation, having served as the VP of Technology Transformation and R&D at Kroger Technology and as the CTO at IBM. Wesley, it's an absolute pleasure having you here with us.
Well, thank you. I enjoy being here. This is going to be a fun time.
I think so. So maybe, in the beginning of our podcast, I'd like to ask my guests, if you could share your journey, how what your experiences were, how do you got where you are, and how did you find yourself at the intersection of technology and retail?
I'll be happy to talk about that. So the part of your question was, how did I get to where I am? Well, as you know, this entire industry is about change. It's about innovation. It's about a lot of learning. It's about forgetting what you just knew 3 years ago and completely reinventing yourself all the time. So that is basically how I got to where I am today. It's with a very curious mind. So I always have been curious on how things work and how to do something better. And lo and behold, that becomes the key characteristics that you have to have, besides accuracy and delivery, to kind of make it in this large IT world, because it's constantly changing. Everything you do becomes worthless pretty fast, and all new things replace it.
Right. Yeah, no, I can definitely relate to that. It's a blur, even with some of the technology innovation that are coming our way. No matter if you're in technology or you're in the business, you have to be a technologist no matter what. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun for me as a technologist to learn new things, but for other folks, it might be stressful, but it's the sign of the times. So
it's even where you now have to be, if you're going to be a senior executive in a company, you're going to need to be a technologist.
right.
Not as good as the ones you're hiring to go focus on that, but you have to understand what machine learning can do for you, how it can impact your business. How can you disrupt a competitor? And it's using these advanced IT technologies is going to be how it's done.
Right, absolutely. So I guess coming kind of back to your background at leading tech transformation at both Kroger and IBM, which must have been incredibly exciting. How have you seen the retail technology landscape evolve over the years?
It evolves at the same pace that the need for technology evolves, the need to understand a customer, the need to solve complex things. At IBM, I had two focuses. Spent 18 years there. I focused on large commercial problems, large commercial issues, whether it's bank or energy industry or you name it, retail, medical. Really all is the same, which is kind of interesting. As an IT guy, you're not bound to a particular industry because those technologies are just used slightly differently on many, many, many different industries. So at IBM, I focused on the Fortune 150 and just solved their hard problems. And then in another part of my IBM career, I was the deputy CTO for U.S. Federal, National Security and Defense, and NATO. And so
Oh, wow.
you think of those things as perhaps not so much related to the commercial sector, but they really are. It's all about information. It's all about insight. The same technologies that we were using to and I author to track terrorists and other things are just a way of understanding a lot of things about a lot of people, right? So you're using the machine and you're teaching it the kind of behaviors that you're looking for, and voila, it's the same set of technologies for hyper personalization when you think about the customer and trying to understand all their needs. It's all about data and prediction, understanding what's going on, feeding it properly, making sure the data is not biased, because that gives you a false reading. So it really is kind of an interesting time to be alive in IT. All these really hard federal national security and defense issues are now moved from bigger, badder explosions to faster and keener and more insightful IT.
Right.
But it's just amazing. So that was my IBM career, solving problems, transformations that had gone afoul, correcting them. So how to
Mhm.
understand where things have gone awry has been part of that. And then in the national security defense, it's been cybersecurity, it's been advanced insight, it's been figuring out how to take massive amounts of data and figure out how to get just the right amount at the right time to the right people. Every corporation that's global has the same issues that a large federal installation has got. So that's a somewhat of a new thing these days. Federal used to be an only specialized set of industry problems. Now everybody's got much the same problems.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think you definitely hit it on the nail on the head where, you have all these data points, you use it for fighting bad guys, but at the same time, you're also using it to tailor your products and services and gaining all these insights to to increase revenue and create better customer experiences, right? So it's kind of technology can be used for all different kinds of things, and sometimes there's also some bad guys that use the technology against us, technology professionals, right? So it's you have to always keep up no matter what in all these areas. But I can appreciate what you were saying because I was a CISO in the past too, and there's always new innovations in that space too. So I guess talking about innovations, you know, what do you see from a technology perspective? What can technology leaders leverage for retail in 2024 and beyond?
Well, I think it's taking the technology that we have. We think about the advanced technologies, digital twin, machine learning, of course, with AI, video analytics, machine vision, and using those in ways that you just didn't think about before. That's one of the great positives about being an IBM. Every problem was so different all the time. And
Mhm.
so you began to look at all these different technologies as just Lego blocks and tools. And so I'd say in retail and in other commercial ventures, there's been two issues. One of them is a kind of a lack of imagination of how you can take these Lego blocks, if you will, of technology, spin them in different orders in different positions, and like a recipe to a cake, and come out with something that is highly creative, highly innovative, highly disruptive to the market, which is what you want to do if you're trying to really catch up fast. And so I think trend number one is they're trying to get the knowledge and understanding and grapple with what this technology can do so they can apply the business knowledge and say, well, wait a minute. This is what I can do to get customers. This is how I can move from, let's say, in grocery, there's a lot of routine labor. Well, I can put some cameras up there and I can tell you when something needs to be done so you don't have to keep checking it all the time. So that's a way to decrease labor costs. Go to directed labor. Let the machine come back and tell you this person is confused. Go help them. They're exhibiting
Mhm.
that kind of behavior. This child has been separated from the people they walked in with that may
Mhm.
need an intervention. They're walking out with somebody that wasn't associated with them. Maybe we should check on that. Spill at aisle 4 before you can get the word. The machine's going to see it, and then it tells you and directs you to go do the things. So that same concept of the machine learning, understanding, knowing what's normal is vital to how we optimize logistics, how we optimize supply chain, how we
Mhm.
go from the farm directly to our stores or go to warehouses and understanding what the freshness is of the product. So can I
Mhm.
afford to go to the warehouse and use it as stock? There's so much demand in other stores. Can I just go ahead and reroute my truck instead of the warehouse? I'm now going to send them as a delivery truck.
Mhm.
These decisions are things that we teach AI all about, and we have AI that is managing other AI tasks. So AI has a manager, so it's just like an organizational structure. So we call that layered AI, and it is spawning a lot of new ways to think about what should the human do versus what can I get the machine to do.
Mhm. That's very interesting. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I wrote an article about the master bots and niche bots and the orchestration that can happen. Right, it's very fascinating. We're thinking very much alike. So,
I
um,
learned how to do all that as an outgrowth of one of the federal assignments that I had, which is to bring up U.S. cybercom. So,
mhm,
as part of IBM, I was in charge of getting the frameworks together, how the machine learning was going to work, how the digital twins were going to work, how to do
mhm,
cyber ranges, how to do all these things at a speed, so that if we were attacked in a in a very poignant military manner
mhm,
into our financial systems or our military systems, that the cyber defense capabilities, which can react much faster than a human, would just take over and
mhm.
start buying us the time to get our arms around what was really going on. And so it was machines fighting machines, understanding how the other machine is being programmed and how it's reacting, and then moving that in a speed that you can outpace your competitor. So if the one of the
Wesley, this sounds a lot like Skynet. I have to say, machines
it's not
taking over.
Skynet. It is what is evolving. It just think about it like this. Coming back to
I'm
cyber
just kidding.
defense for a moment. Cyber defense, if you think about it has been evolved into the same mechanisms that we use for dogfighting. So an OODA loop,
Mhm.
with that OODA loop, you really have the engagement pattern that you require. But that
Right,
same thought process is how we do e-commerce faster. The same
right.
thought process is how we deliver cheaper doing that last mile.
Yeah,
So all these things are
so
just
true.
be rethought and reused to the advantage for your commercial venture.
Wow. No, that's a super cool insight, and yeah, that makes absolute sense. Now, I think you kind of touched on it. I had a question about AI, but we kind of covered that already. But you know, there's a lot of disruptions, and maybe that's also like some of the things you mentioned. Like you could have a cyber incident, you could have a supply chain disruption, right? How do you think technology can mitigate these major supply chain disruptions and save organizations, maybe even in key shopping seasons like we are in right now?
Well, that's a really good question. The the technology gives you an advantage of observation. It has the ability to observe a much wider plane of data and make sense out of it than the human does.
Mhm,
So one way that it helps us is we get full awareness of what our demand is. We get full awareness of where all the products are at in the supply chain. We have insight into what the manufacturer is producing, so we know when things are going to become available, and then where
mhm,
our slot is for having our shipments and so forth. And then we figure out we use the machine to do this also. AI is not just it's not Skynet because that's giving it attributes it doesn't have. But it's a great helper. It can
mhm,
calculate, it can understand, given the ways that you teach it to understand, vast amounts of data. So it gives you agility. So to come back to your question, I think there are three things that we do with the machines to manage this very hectic supply and logistic chain models that we've got today. Is number one, we're giving the machines great insight to all the data that matters in delivering our product. So it's wrapped up in the customer experience. So I want the goods that are come to the store to come in just in time,
Mhm.
understanding where the demand is when the customers are coming in. So I have to prioritize. So it knows that data of what is normal. We use that data to determine what to predict is going to happen. And then we have a lot of information, sensors in our trucks, sensors in planes, and sensors in the stores, sensors on the farm,
Mhm.
uh, to tell us all kinds of information we need in order
Mhm.
to get the right product at the right time and
Mhm.
make the best optimal decision in its delivery, its storage, its
Right.
usage, its ordering priorities, and so forth. So those machines take this data and they give you a better understanding of what's going on this moment. It
Mhm.
gives you a good understanding of the predictive power. So what is going to happen in a in
Mhm.
a time period in a window that's relevant to you,
Mhm.
your decision cycle. And then the third thing is it helps make decisions on the fly for you. An example
Mhm.
would be I have a truck, it's full of strawberries, shall we say, and I'm trying to some type of a product. I've got sensors in the truck. It's telling me all the vital information, so I understand how fresh that's going to be and how long it will remain that fresh. We've cracked the nut on figuring those things out. And then I can look at the demand that's happened right this minute. Maybe I have a lot more demand than I thought I was going to have. So now I'm going to automatically in flight reroute that tractor trailer to the right store. All that's machine learning, that's AI, that's data collection, that's data understanding, and just applying it to your business. It is the key component for your customer experience. How to
Mhm.
take frustration and complexity away from the customer and let the machine figure those things out.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think technology is really the backbone of a lot of businesses right now. If you like it or not, you have to embrace it. And in an economy like this, it's always good to have some key innovations that you're investing in, even if you're maybe some the economy is a little sluggish. Companies that invest in technology and in people during these times, really come out strong when you have a strong growth periods. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And right now, I think there is probably a little bit of a bump up. I did look at some of the statistics about the previous year holiday shopping, and things are certainly trending upwards for this holiday season. So how do you think technology is influencing holiday shopping this year?
Well, number one, I think it gets the customer more informed because now you can do these cyber sales, these flash sales happening right this moment in your geography. So they're better informed because you can get the word out so much faster because they have those smartphones, you have your apps.
Mhm.
We have many ways that we contact you, and with our understanding of how you respond as a customer, then we send it to you the right medium that you want to pay attention to. So number one is they're more informed. Number two is is that a current event happening in the news can change the buying pattern that you predicted instantly.
Mhm.
So one of the ways that the machines can help us out, again, by having the right amount of data that's coming in to be observed and knowing that we need to react to certain events or certain conditions, uh, then machines can figure out that this has happened, right? So I don't have to watch the news and filter through lots of other detail. All that's being sent electronically. So it can say, wait a minute, this has happened. And that's going to change the demand at these stores. A weather pattern has come. You're going to have to start shifting things around to prepare for that hurricane, prepare for those tornadoes, or react to the fact that they've happened. So it adds the agility of business as normal and good productions and it going like you thought. And the minute it starts to go awry, it gives you the patterns and the plays that you've thought through very carefully with
Mhm.
the awareness that that has just happened. And you instantly can start shifting to those plans and use those machines to help out with it.
Yeah.
If you add in digital twin and simulation into the
Mhm.
cycle, and suddenly you've got good portions of your business as a whole as a digital twin, so you can see what the impact is throughout all the various processes that you have in your company.
Mhm.
The second one is you can say, well, this is going to hit these stores because they're in the disaster area. If I shift
Mhm.
it over like this, what would be the impact? And not just getting the goods to the customer, but understanding what it's going to be from a traffic perspective. Will I have other issues? Second and third order effects can be considered so that you get really the most effective response for your company as well as for that customer.
Mhm.
So machines have a wide observation plane. The machines have the ability to recognize events, to do predictions on those events, and to better guide the business leader in deciding what the right thing to do is.
Right, right. Yeah, that reminds me, when I was working with one of my employers, I think it was maybe Boston Beer during the pandemic, and we were looking at, uh, crisis response plans, leveraging really like an approach lent from cybersecurity, the incident response planning and looking at, what's the crisis response team, what are the options on the table, how do we mitigate and shut down a risk that has happened, and then already having thought about some of the options, like you said, in different scenarios for good things that happen, and sometimes also some of the bad things if you get hit by a cyber attack or other unforeseen things. So maybe I'm through with my main questions, but I like to finish up my podcast with like a speed round of questions where I ask you quick questions and you give quick answers. Does that sound good?
Okay. Fire away. Let's go.
All right, sounds good. All right. In one word, what's the future of retail technology?
Automation.
E-commerce or in-store shopping? Which will dominate in 2023?
E-commerce will, but realize that it is closely associated with the brick and mortar experience and for many different customers. So they're complementary, but the e-commerce is going to
Yeah,
grow and grow and grow and grow.
yeah, yeah. No, in the last National Retail Federation event in New York, they were talking about immersive shopping experiences, and I think that's kind of where it blends, like the physical world and the digital world kind of blends together, where sometimes you go in store to place an order online, right? So that's kind
That's
of great.
right. But let me also tell you that just based on that, the way that they're considering these immersive environments, uh, in many cases don't really have the kind of imagination that you need to have. You're
Mhm.
not trying to uh, just gamify uh, the way that the customer was shopping, and then give him that online nifty background. I'll buy my bread in a Tuscan shop and that kind of thing, and I have that. What it gives you is the ability to rethink how that shopping experience is supposed to go.
Mhm.
And instead of just trying to do this, I kind of call it lazy gamification, take a
Mhm.
step back and say, how do my competitors deliver their value to the customer? And
Mhm.
how can I use these technologies in a very smart way
Mhm.
to really hit the need of
Mhm.
that customer? And that's where the AI and all this other technology really comes into bear, because you
Mhm.
can really get down underneath it and figure out the need, and then
Mhm.
off you go.
Yeah, I love that. Um, what is the most underrated technology in retail right now?
On the advanced technology, it's digital twin. On the non-advanced technology, is the human.
Good one. I like that. If you could solve one major challenge in retail with technology, what would it be?
Walking out the store with your goods, not having to go through a checkout.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, we kind of have that with the Amazon Go stores, and but it's not become mainstream technology yet. But I love that. I still feel guilty when I go in there and there's like can I really walk out? And I feel kind of weird when I'm doing it, but it works, you know. So
We have the
uh,
technology to do it fully. It's
right.
just it's the adoption cycle, and many times it's the senior management that needs to get more comfortable with it.
Mhm. Name a technology trend that excites you the most for the future of retail.
The way that quantum computing is being reduced and reduced and reduced in size and cost, and its applications are widening up so much. Why does that excite me? So you say, well, that's a cool technology. Why are you
Mhm,
so excited about that? I know it can compute fast.
mhm,
Yes, it can compute fast, but what it allows it to do is to understand a much greater detail of what matters to me as a consumer.
mhm,
So putting that in its proper place, quantum computing, with the other sets of processes and infrastructure and computing capabilities that we have,
mhm.
different architectures, they will start to know me like my brother.
Right.
And so you do that, you're going to start making my life streamlined, and I'm going to get rid of all these calls. I'm going to get rid of all this junk I have to deal with. You're actually going to help me. And
Mhm,
so that's exciting to me, because when it actually helps me, my
mhm.
life really does become better, because time is my problem and they eat up a lot of it.
Right.
So, how about helping me out here?
Yeah. Um, Blockchain in retail, a passing trend or a long-term game changer?
It's a long-term game changer, mainly because it is a way to think about monetization. It's a way to think about transaction. It's a way for me to feel better about indulging in other more advanced technologies, because losing my information is really my key concern. So if you can solve it to where when I tell you something, you actually do keep it secret, and it doesn't get all over the website, says it's stolen time and time and time again, that makes me feel better about the technology that knows me better and knows some things I don't want to reveal to anyone else, understands my medical, and then allows us, this is the really key component, allows us to start breaking through the barriers to where I can have grocery and medical and entertainment and all these other key areas of my life coexist with each other
Mhm.
securely. And now you're really
Talk
adding some
about
value to me.
interoperability, kind of you take your own API with you and authorize it to use your data.
Yeah, another way to think about that is in exactly the way you just mentioned it,
Mhm,
is I'm opting in to services. And I'm
mhm,
going to opt into those services and allow others to know me so much better if
mhm.
I know that it stays with them and doesn't go to others.
Right.
So me owning the data and me allowing that to be broadcasted in a particular domain for a particular set of services or advantages is really where it's at. And those that can build the trust, so in other words, security as a advantage here,
Mhm.
those that can build the trust are the ones that are going to be able to be given permission to expand in all these other avenues of a person's life. And you need that for hyper personalization.
Right. Right. Absolutely. What's one piece of tech that every retailer should adopt right now?
Digital merchandising, digital twin.
Yeah.
345 Global is a great company that is doing that. You need to go to that method of doing things, and suddenly everything is digitized. You've got digital twins showing what's going to happen.
Hmm,
uh, it is the
check
thing
it out. Yeah.
that you can immediately implement and get huge gains throughout the rest of the organization, because it'll flow down the supply chain, it'll flow down to your demand forecasting, it'll flow down to everything.
Right. Right. It's almost like I've seen. I wrote an article about um, digital twin for in medicine and creating a digital twin of yourself, right? And biomarkers and things where you can measure and see progress visually. It helps the doctors, helps you. So it's the possibilities are really endless here.
They're
Um,
absolutely endless. It's all information, and how do I compute it, relate it, and keep it safe?
right. Yeah. I think especially safe in that space. Um, which is more crucial for retail success, customer experience or operational efficiency?
Customer experience.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Augmented reality in retail, a gimmick or a game changer?
Not a game changer. It's not a gimmick either. It doesn't have a fully universal use. It's
Mhm.
good for training. It's good for some other things that really well, but there'll be technologies that's going to sunset that as the way to interact within the store, interact with other entities and so forth. It won't be in quite that manner. But it is good in certain venues. I mean, just think about your pharmacist having that augmented reality where I'm looking at you and I'm looking at my environment, yet I'm seeing
Mhm.
what my customer is really needing. I'm getting prepared for them as they're walking up because I know their
Right,
prescriptions are here, and you having all that data being presented to you at the time that you need it about that one customer.
right.
That's a game changer. But the way that augmented reality is being implied today isn't quite so specific with all those engines and AI and digital twin back infrastructures that are necessary to make all that work out.
Yeah, yeah. I ordered the Quest 3 headset, which has a lot of augmented reality. So I can't wait to test it out and see what the experience is going to be. Um, if this might be a little bit of a trick question, but I'm going to say it anyway. Um, Finally, if you had to shop at one store for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Oh, that would be an interesting question to say. You'll be a little bit surprised with this. Uh, a little bit of a bias, I suppose, but it would be a grocery store
Mhm,
because there's nothing more personal than groceries.
mhm.
You have to go there. You've got to see the food. I mean, you can have it delivered, but the experience of e-commerce versus actually being in a store is there's nothing grander than that. Everything else can kind of show its stuff on the web, but how do you smell? How do you enjoy ambiance? How do you manage flavor in an e-commerce experience?
Mhm.
So I actually see these centers of where people are going to show up because of need and expressing the individuality that meal preparation can be. Uh, while they're there, you can then put in their pharmacy needs, their clinic needs. There could be other vendors that are just part of that complex and getting the other types of needs that you have when you might need to visit somebody. So I would go there because they're going to bring, and you go to a spot to nourish yourself and your family. They're going to bring all the other services that you want there. All you have to do is express it and it be part of a profitable economic venture. So that's the one I would pick because you can do without batteries for a little bit longer, but it's really hard not to eat.
Right, right. Okay. Well, Wesley, it's been an absolute pleasure. Um, any last minute things that you would like to pass on to our listeners, and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, certainly. I'm at wdrhodes03 at gmail.com if they'd like to send an email to me. That's Whiskey David Rhodes, RHODES at gmail.com. That's Rhodes03 at gmail.com. So what would I like to leave as a parting thought? Well, part of my job at Kroger was to help them through a large transformation. So lots of technology, lots of things that were going on. Uh, I also was then sent to run their technology commercialization business, and we operated mainly overseas because we didn't want to use that technology in the U.S. because that's where our main market is. This for Kroger. What I learned doing that work overseas that I drug to me when I took on and started managing research and development for Kroger is the fact that a shopper is a shopper and they're more alike than they're not one continent to another. The products may change, some behavioral things that are in the geography may change, but the basic human motivations and what they value, they may change from product to product, but they're really just the same. Culture has some impact to that, but humans are humans. And so when I think about taking this technology and you learn about it, you understand it, there's three things that come to mind. Number one It's applicable all over the world for really and for the same uses. Just you have to change the data and adjust a bit. Number two, it's going to be required to get you the volume and to scale up. So your future business, if you're not going to die, you're going to have these technologies, or somebody else is going to use them to disrupt you. You're going to see the Uber kind of thing in grocery and in the energy services and so forth. And then the last thing is that a professional inside this community, an IT person can go to any industry. When I'm setting up my teams, I bring people from energy services, from transportation, from every kind of walk of life that I can think of that have got the AI and computing experience, because they'll look at a problem differently. And when they all look at the same problem from a different lens, that's where you get the disruption. So kind of the last thing I would say is when you're creating your teams to do innovation, don't go for the people that make you feel comfortable because you all know the same thing. Go for the ones that have tried to tackle these problems much differently in a wholly different environment, that have had that global experience, because they're going to bring to you a rich way of thinking through problems that you've never really considered before.
Wow, amazing. Well, Wesley, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I think your insights have been incredibly enlightening, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Great. And thank you to our listeners for tuning again into Bytes of Brilliance, Boardroom Insights. Don't forget to subscribe for more engaging discussions. Until next time, keep innovating and leading the way in the world of technology.